If you want to progress and watch your realms, you're going to need teams that can tackle different types of content. But early on, your resources and options are limited, so every 6-star actually matters. Hi there, and welcome to the channel. I'm Slate, and today we're answering one of the most common progression questions, and that is who to level up next or first. Let's get started. So first things first, a lot of the early game is progressing through campaign and the initial Volca storyline quests, and you will sort of level up a beginning roster as you go, getting your first legendary, getting a few epics hopefully along the way, etc, etc. And then what happens is you sort of start to hit that sort of what I call early to mid game wall. And typically you'll be able to sort of get to these what I call Calypso stages in campaign 8 and able to farm this XP raid number 7. However, the difficulty in campaign between chapter 8 and chapter 9 is absolutely nuts. And that is sort of where the issue comes in, because if we actually look at the available XP, obviously it is more efficient to be farming higher stages in terms of stamina cost to energy that you get. But you're basically going to be stuck on stage 7 for a while. So because it is so expensive to farm XP 7, you are going to want to minimize the amount of heroes that you actually invest in, but maximize the amount of content that you can get out of them. Just make sure your XP boost is on, as we definitely want to make sure that we are maximizing our stamina to energy ratio. One of the things I will say about early to mid game is that getting high levels and also promotions makes a huge difference in terms of stats, which helps you with progression, way more so than the gear that you are able to get when you are farming the sort of like 10 to 15s, basically anything before stage 18. 18 plus is sort of when you start to get really good mythic gear and the energy investment starts to pay off. But yeah, before then, the stats that you can get from investing your stamina into gear isn't really as great as if you can invest it into XP. But like I said, because XP is so expensive, you sort of want to min-max that as possible. So instead of leveling whoever looks good or who is your latest legendary or who is this like really cool character that you've heard is fantastic, the idea is to build a core team that is going to see you through a huge amount of content at the beginning. And that is where I introduce you to the 3-1-1 loop. It is a default pattern that you can follow in helping you decide who to level up next. The first 3 heroes that you are going to want to progress on an account is going to be DPS. And that is because DPS is really important. It helps you kill things on the board. And so you definitely want to have 3 DPS options. Now, my recommendation is to get as much scope out of those first 3 DPS that you can. So you're looking at something like AoE magic damage, something that hits air, and something that can boss kill as well. And then the next role that you are going to do is going to be your healers. Now, healers are incredibly important because they keep your team alive. And what I would say is one of the best early or progression healers that you can get is Vortex. Why? That is because he has this absolutely massive range, which is fantastic. He's HP based, which means it's easier for him to keep alive. And he is just a fantastic progression healer. Obviously, a lot of legendary healers are fantastic, but I wouldn't say that someone like Dao Chen, who is an inspiration unit more so, is necessarily going to be who you want as your first healer. You need someone who's actually going to keep it alive. And then the 5th in this 3-1-1 loop is going to be not a tactician, but that could be a cool DPS, is going to be a tank. And that is because, again, letting something, especially in AMR or in Gear Age 2 or just general campaign, having a tank is going to be fantastic. Now, you do get a copy of the OG Beastie Boy himself, Olag, at level 40. He is absolutely worth bringing to 60 because of this passive that he basically gives himself a shield and he keeps himself alive. I think another fantastic progression option is going to be Baron. He has second life. He is also amazing. You could also bring in Roxy Boy. He does have that second life as well. And then, you know, you do have obviously legendary options as well. Someone like a Draylon who is going to heal and tank, you get her early on. Very well done. But yeah, basically that is your loop. You are going to have 3 DPS, 1 healer, 1 tank. That is who you're bringing to 61st. And then essentially you're going to repeat the loop and you're going to bring up your next 3 DPS, your next healer, and your next tank. If you have been blessed by the RNG with a load of magic damage in Gear Raid 1, I would suggest investing your next DPS into magic so that you can get to that gear grade 118. If you've managed to get a lot of pierces, then maybe you decide to go into gear grade 3. And just to quickly add about this 3-1-1 rule, if you get a game-breaking hero like Gacha, you can absolutely break that cycle and focus in on them. Most heroes that are considered S or triple S or god tier in this game typically cover a multitude of roles. Take Gacha here as the example. He's able to do AoE physical, AoE magic, he hits air, he does true damage. Like, this guy does it all. And so getting him on your account, regardless of where you are in the loop, he is going to become a priority. But the other question that you have to ask is, what gaps in my roster do I have? So for example, if you are really struggling in something like AMR, which can be really tricky early on, absolutely, it may be that you need to actually invest a little bit heavier into some fighters or heroes that are going to sustain in AMR over what you're doing here in Gear Grade 1. It might be that you've reached the point where you're like, you know what, I've got amazing DPS and I want to do my stage 19, but it's not great, so you're going to bring in an anti-heal unit. There is an option also. It's not just about gear grades. Another huge part of progression is actually pushing up your Drake's Chasm and trying to get to, Nightmare 2, Nightmare 3, Nightmare 4. And so it might be that you go, actually, I'm really struggling. I am absolutely really struggling, so I need some of those classic guild boss nukers. And that's the thing. If you notice that there is a role gap in the initial heroes that you have, that is where you want to do it. Now, obviously, this is an end game count. That's not going to be very helpful for explaining what I call proof of concept. And so welcome to the end of week 1 on my Light versus Dark challenge account. And I want to show you how applying this concept has really helped. As you can see here, we have some lovely heroes. And so, yeah, we've managed to get quite lucky in this first week with a sort of broad range. Lynx was my starter hero. And yeah, what you'll see here is that my first DPS is going to be Lynx. She is in that lovely Doom. She is a marksman with burst take capabilities and some CC. But she's basically my first legendary DPS. So for the stats, essentially is why she got pushed up. But yeah, I've got her and just rocking a basic Spirit Siphon. She's in the best gear on this account at this point. It's really not that fancy, but it is, you do pick up some stuff along the way, which is nice. And then obviously we have Idril. She's fantastic. She's in that other sort of like Volca set. I'd like to get her fully skilled. I think she's sort of her and Iona, who I'm working on first. Again, basically an unmaxed out thing, but she has got that level 60. And then my third DPS that I picked was Iona for that AoE magic. Again, trying to get her skilled up as well, because that's going to be really important. And then she's in a baby keen wisdom. It's not very exciting, but I did put one of my epic soul stones into her because challenge account don't really need to wait for wrath. So she's definitely a priority for me, because however much they say they're not rare, I don't believe that. And then for the healer, like I said, I picked Vortex. I haven't got him max promoted yet, and I have Oleg as my tank. Then I have some 50s. There's nothing wrong with 50s. There's a lot of 50s that can help, but as you can see, these are the guys that I have decided to sort of rock and roll. We do have a little bit of red gear that we've picked up as we've progressed, but it's like flat stat. Like, it is not, like, this is not good gear. This is just chuck something on and hope for the best. And, something like a chest piece is really good for just that survivability. But yeah, this is essentially my core team. And that's sort of basically who I've leveled up. And I kind of want to show you what this core team has been able to achieve in this first week of gameplay. Just to also quickly say, after week 1, we've done 439 summons. So let it not be said that there are not lots of summons to be had at the start of the game. You're just mainly clearing campaign and everything else like that. So you do get a lot to get started, which is really nice as well. But yeah, most importantly, in terms of what this core team has allowed me to do, on campaign, we've managed to get midway through this campaign 8. Like I said, trying to get to that XP was the main thing. And then on hard, we're at chapter 6. We haven't really progressed much further there. And then on expert, we are on chapter 5. Pretty solid mid-progress as we're plodding along. And pretty much all of my stamina for this week has gone into that XP number 7, as well as these promotion rates. So you can see here, mages, we managed to sort of hit to the 15, pretty much just with the owner and the marksman. And then with the marksman, we have managed to get all the way to extreme 2. Love that. And then endurance, we also managed very dodgy, but we did manage to clear extreme 2. And then the other one, like melee, is really tough. I'm not going to lie. So we're only on stage 12. Hopefully at some point that gets a bit easier, but that's absolutely fine. And then the other thing is obviously the, like I said, I've been living all of my energy in stage 7 or in the promotion raise in order to get this squad for the first time. Managed to get to stage 14 in Gear Raid 1 using this squad here. Basically, primary DPS is going on Iona. Then in Gear Raid 2, we've managed stage 17 with this lovely squad here and Vortex, who's not, he's been accidentally clicked off. Big heals from Vortex. Another reason why to get him to 60. He just makes Gear Raid 2 so much smoother if you're lucky enough to get him. Otherwise, you do have to sort of try and make your healers quite tanky as well. And then DC was right at the end. It was not very pretty, but we managed it. And then we've managed stage 14 in Gear Raid 3 using this lovely team as well. And one of the cool things about having a level 60 tank at this stage is when you get to this really awkward 13, if your tank is nice and tanky, you can actually use a platform DPS in order to help nuke down the boss. Now, obviously, I don't have to swap it out because I have a Constance who's a ground healer, but you could easily, when Oleg is struggling a little bit, take out your platform DPS, put in your platform healer, and then that also can help you clear stage 13 in AMR, because I know it can be a little bit dicey, a little bit tricky. It's not the nicest, but yeah, that is just one little tip for that as well. Heroes Path, we are at the clear Tide Wave 30, so we're time gaped. It's absolutely fine. And then finally, in Drake's Chasm, I am hitting the second chest in Nightmare 2 and the top chest in Nightmare 1, which is fantastic. But yeah, it just sort of goes to show how solidifying that core team, covering as many roles as possible, allows you to progress. Depending on the stage, I have swapped things out, like bringing in Eliza or Sadie. But yeah, essentially by focusing on these heroes is why I've been able to clear the amount of content I've cleared in the first week. We'll say that this week 1 progress is a combination of experience and luck. So don't try and compare yourself on the timeline. Just think of it in terms of decisions. But yeah, anyway, now that we have the core, we need to complete the next progression mission, which is going to be getting the 18s. And boy, I cannot wait to show you how we do that on this account. So yeah, just to summarize, like I said, focus on this 3-1-1 loop, 3 DPS, 1 healer, 1 tank, change around, but slot in any roles that you feel that you are missing. So like I said, if you've got to a point where you're like, oh, I really need an anti-healer, or oh, I really need a stunner, or I really need actually extra tank, then you slot those in. But try your best to think about it in terms of roles of heroes rather than necessarily who the best hero on your account is. But yeah, anyway, that is everything from me today. Do let me know in the comments below how you are getting on with progression, if you have any progression questions, because what I would love to do with this challenge series is, as I play, we're going to talk about how to progress in Watch for Realms, and then I'm going to use this faction restricted account as the sort of like guinea pig experiment showcase. So drop any progression questions in the comments below and we will try to slot them into this series. But yeah, that is essentially the start, which is how to choose who to level up next, and hopefully that helps you with progress. Thank you so much for watching. Do like and subscribe if you haven't already. I look forward to seeing you in the next video and the next live stream. So until then, take care and bye for now.